spanning various business areas, spanning human resources, sales management, customer service, and accounts management. Currently, he has over 8 years experience managing human resources at a senior leadership level. Now, with a strong academic and professional background in business and people management, he is adept at providing consultative and tactical support to business management or business unit management in the areas of organizational training, performance management, health and safety, compliance and HR audit, compensation and benefit, talent acquisition and management, employee relations, and labor and employment relations and workforce planning. He is the HR director for two divisions, DHL Express and Aviation. He has an MBA in finance from the University of Leicester, a father to five, and a husband of one. Great, great, great profile. He's joining us today. We're so happy and lucky to have him join us on the office. And with all of his experience as an HR professional spanning over 18 years, we sure have a lot to learn today. Welcome to the conversation. It's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Onishe. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. It's actually a pleasure to be here with you today as well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now let's talk about a diverse workforce. What is a diverse workforce? Can you explain the terms? I mean, so we get it completely right and we just don't make up assumptions of what we think a diverse workforce is about. So give us your own definition of a diverse workforce. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Workforce diversity actually narrows down on the similarities and the differences amongst employees in terms of cultural background, age, physical abilities and disabilities, ethnicity, religion, gender, and what you call, from a global perspective, sexual orientation. There are actually simple ways that the workforce could be considered diverse, and this will include cultural diversity in the workplace. It also includes religious diversity, gender diversity, language diversity, different educational level, different viewpoints, as well as the unique ability. That's what I would define as diversity in the workplace. Thank you.
Okay, so you've really touched all areas. You talked about sexual orientation of different people and also the cultural background, ethnicity, and also religion, gender, and I guess there's probably even more. So let me just quickly ask you, how does the diversity of a workforce impact the organization? Because sometimes people would rather just go for people who are talented or hardworking or have all the required skill to perform in a company and add value. But what role does this diversity play in the growth of a company or an organization? Will you describe it as a positive or negative?
Okay, thank you very much. The broad variety of skill sets and capabilities actually associated with workplace diversity directly actually impacts on productivity. Research has actually shown that organizations that have more diversity in their workplace actually boast of higher productivity, as we recognize that the different workers actually have different skill sets as well as competencies and the areas of work that they actually enjoy doing. Diversity would actually, I would say, affect organizations when they do understand that employing people who hold multiple perspectives, multiple views, actually enhances creativities, the level of problem solving at work, and it also serves as a resource for a competitive edge that an organization can have over another. Now, if you quickly look at the top benefits of having a diverse workforce, some of the things you identify would be higher productivity, higher innovation, better decision making, better reputation for the organization. You may have young people who actually want to onboard, join your team. Where we talked about the bottom line earlier, we also have very improved hiring results, as well as we have a robust, different perspective. Those are some of the key benefits of having a diverse workforce. Thank you.
All right, that's a good one. You talked about creativity and also productivity and great ideas, innovation. All of these adds to the benefits of a diverse workforce. But are you saying there's no negative side to this? It's all positive, bloomy, and great? There's no negative side or downside to having a diverse workforce. Is there any?
There is none actually. From research actually have shown that having a diverse workforce is the best that could happen for any organization
So
actually.
it's safe to say that companies that like diversity are not as innovative or as, creative as they could be.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
very true.
Let's talk about the strategies now. My listeners are listening, and I'm hopeful that would have them call in to join the conversation today. Remember, this is the office. We bring you top HR professionals to talk about, your career and how you can maximize opportunities and also learn new things to grow your organization. Today's topic is growing and retaining a diverse workforce. To join the conversation, remember you can tweet, you can send us a message on WhatsApp, you can call the phone lines. On Twitter, it's Lagos Talks 913. That is at Lagos Talks 913. On the phone lines, it's 0809 234 5913. All right, now back to the questions. I want to talk about the strategies right now that that organizations can put in place to grow a diverse workforce. What is that strategy?
Okay, it's quite simple. I would say first of all, you need to look at your culture. Culture is actually very key, as well as your composition. Easy for you to run analysis to get a quick view of how diverse your workplace is actually. You could do simply gender analysis, ethnicity outlook, age analysis. All of these are tools that can easily tell you how diverse your workforce is. And the next thing would be for me to examine the perspective of your executives, because when it comes to culture, it's actually driven from the very top. So you need to understand what the perspective is, because that can only be driven right from the top. Then you would need to set goals to actually achieve greater diversity, which means probably for a year running, you could decide that you want to grow your female gender executives by, say, so number percentage. You may decide that you notice there's a lean towards your aging, your age analysis, and then you want to bring in more diverse young people into the workplace. But a lot of tools that you can do. Then the next one would be to update your workforce policies, which would require that it needs to be very inclusive. Inclusive means that you would embrace diversity in terms of age, ethnicity, gender, race, sexual orientation, and all of that. So policies. Good policies in place would actually enhance diversity of the workforce. And the next one is to provide training. I know I have taken, for example, an unconscious bias training, and you need to keep training people, you understand, because you need to have a mindset shift, especially if it's something you're trying to just introduce into your workplace. Then the next one would be, well, for the general public, easy one would be to post jobs on your board that for diverse candidates, you understand. So once you run the analysis and you observe where those gaps are, you can then begin to bring in people to have a mix and have a more diverse workforce. Then finally, I would say what you do not measure, you cannot manage. You need to actually measure your effort. So some of the simple ways you can measure it would be running an employee opinion surveys, being able to drill down to how people perceive you, what your employees think about, your diversity index and all of that. So those are very key strategies you can actually use to grow a diverse workforce. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now, bearing in mind the peculiarities of each employee, based off of their age, ethnicity, gender, and other factors, I'm just wondering, how can employers successfully manage and retain a diverse workforce? I'm talking about looking at all of these areas, with different people from different backgrounds or culture or ethnicity comes different experience and belief systems. And when you bring them into your organization, sometimes you have to you need to adjust to make sure they fit into the style, or they might need to adjust to fit into the culture. Like you said, every company has got their culture. So bearing in mind all of these diverse backgrounds of these different people, how exactly can you manage these people or retain them on a continuous basis?
Okay. First of all, the commitment for diversity comes straight from the top. That's it.
Are you saying the HR?
We do play a role.
You play a role, okay.
We do play a role, but if it's not what's it called, an idea that's bought from the very top, it's going to be very hard for HR to implement policies or to drive diversity in the workplace. So you need to have that. It's quite successful with global brands where you have policies, from the global office driven down to the regional office or the country office. It becomes a requirement, a standard. You understand? So, but there's a gap with local organizations. But like I said, it needs to come from the very top. Once you have that as a vision that you want to achieve, then it's driven from the very top, because a lot of those cultures and activities mirrors straight from the top. You understand how your managers conduct themselves, how the executives actually view diversity, how embracing they are, how inclusive they are. So next one would be to actually cultivate a culture that makes diverse.
Oh, sorry, call came through. Lagos Talks, good evening.
Yes, it's Lagos Talk.
Yes, what's your name? What's your question?
My name is John. I'm calling from. I'm almost out of Lagos.
Okay.
So my question is how to end crisis in the country. Your non-government is back itself.
Oh, we're not talking about the country. We're talking about the office. I'm sorry, we cannot answer your questions regards insecurity. We're talking about the office. Sorry about that. Now, we're just talking about diverse culture, of course, diverse background, and how to, maximize and adjust to fit them. So you're buttressing the point that it sure does come from the top. Now, these CEOs and managers have got to see the importance of a diverse workforce, and that's the only way the HR professionals can play their pivotal role in this particular context.
I was also going to say that you actually need to cultivate a culture that makes diversity or diverse people feel valued and respected. So talking about the millennials within the workforce, that could be a bit of a challenge when you have different age sets, meeting within the workplace. I'm just using that as an example. So your culture must be embraced, and it must make these diverse people actually feel very valued. Then you need to have targeted diversity policies that speaks volumes about how company actually views their employees. Quite very important. You understand? So you find policies like we embrace diversity and all of that. Not just speaking it, but putting some level of commitment into it. And you may have sometimes where executives will need to sign to it that they're committed towards a diverse workforce and all of that. But that simply talks about a framework. But there are simple things you could do to actually promote workforce diversity at work. So one of the things you could do is you may have events that actually celebrate employees' differences. You could have a blog within your organization that talks about, that gives people a voice about, certain level of exposure, give employees a voice to ask them to write a blog, something like that. Sorry. You could also, in your career site, for example, you could very much have details in there talking about the fact that you're an organization that actually encourages diversity. So you could use your internal channels, your web printouts, and all of those activities, even volunteering, for example. You could encourage your employees to volunteer in an organization that actually serves the needs of those underrepresented segments of your population you're trying to catch. So it could be a team building activities. Those are simple ways you can actually promote or encourage workforce diversity.
All right, thank you. Oops, sorry about that. You can keep the calls coming in if you have a question or would just love to add to the conversation. 015150913, 015151913. Send us a message on WhatsApp as well on 0809-234-5913 or call 0809-222-0913. Interesting so far. So what can organizations do to harness each individual's unique offering to the benefit of the company? With diverse people, are you not expecting to have HR professionals who might be overwhelmed with dealing with different people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different age gap and gender and so many issues? How it'd be too much for the HR departments to bear, but how can they really maximize from each and every one of these people to the benefit of the company?
I think the first thing would be for you to become more open and aware and understand the viewpoints of others as well, understanding the diversity that exists within your workplace. The next step will be to differentiate between work requirements, impediments, personal preferences that actually do not impact work. For HR, we've seen managers. I'll tell you, for example, that this role is open, but I rather prefer the male gender. Please, you understand, for so many reasons. So it's HR plays a critical role in realigning the perspective and as well as driving the right behavior within the organization. So it would be about focusing on standardizing the right behavior. Now that would mean demanding adherence to behaviors that you deem would enhance productivity within the workplace. It would also mean addressing and rejecting work impediments. I mean, behaviors that could interfere with, a higher level of productivity. It will mean to seek and obtain, let's say, tools and skill sets that would help that will promote a diverse workplace. I mean, focusing on skills and tools necessary to coach, to interview, to address issues. Building the right skill sets within the organization that actually looks out for this biases and being able to address it positively. Those are very critical things that you actually need to do. Yeah.
So what is the role of the HR in all of this? Let's talk about the HR right now, especially so many of them that are tuned into this program. How exactly can they ensure a diverse workforce is created and sustained? What role can they play besides the fact that it comes from the top? What else can they do?
Okay, so our role is just way beyond simply just hiring, So we actually need to do, for HR professionals, it's about providing diversity trainings and learning opportunities for all employees. For example, we talked about the unconscious bias training, talks about gender, talks about age, talks about sexual orientation and all of that. So it's one training you need to actually, allow all your employees to actually take part in order to, to promote the right attitude as well as create a perspective that is more inclusive or a behavior that is more inclusive. So HR would also play the role of a facilitator because communication actually comes from us, you understand? So we need to keep communicating, keep letting people know the right attitude and behavior that we need to drive. And I know from the back end, people will also come to HR, to share those biases. It's important that, we direct their focus to a more inclusive perspective that would endanger or promote productivity within the workplace. So those are the roles HR would actually play in promoting diversity within the workplace.
All right, now I'd open up the phone lines. The phone lines have been buzzing, and I'll take some calls right now from those who are listening to join the conversation. The phone lines are 0809 191 3913, 0809 222 0913, or 0809 234 5913. Call the landline numbers as well if you'd love to join the conversation. 01515 1913, 01515 0913. These are our numbers. Remember, our guest is Mr. Oluseyi Fashoyan. Am I pronouncing it right?
No, you're forgiving. It's Oluseyi Fashoyan.
Fashoyan, I'm sorry. Is the HR director, Express and Aviation Divisions at DHL Express. Phone lines, Lagos Talks. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Welcome. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Joseph.
All right,
I'm calling from Lagos State.
All right, join the conversation.
Yeah, I want to ask you the what we talking on the repetition about complaint how to utilize people that work in under the company. Am I right?
How to what?
You say you're talking about how to utilize the advantage of people that work within the company.
Yes.
Okay. The little knowledge I think I have about it is a good boss, a good CEO. For you to, there is a word that say knowledge is power. And to acquire.
Uh-oh. Where did you go? Are you there?
The way I'm there, man, there. Yeah, the way I do is when I have business sometimes when I do business, I look at film and when they are talking to my workers, I look at them, I look at the way they work, their passion, their action towards work. The way they do things, that's the way I got to see the kind of who can work with me. That's why I pick my worker. I don't just employ. I don't give. I will before I employ, I make it like 2 months. You might be working with me within 2 months. I will give you your money. I'm not employing you yet. So until maybe you can see I like you or what can speak for me is you. That's when I employ you. That's why I does my own.
All right, thank you for calling. Well, he's added to the conversation. Now, let's also talk about the importance of having skilled professionals in the company or in an organization. What really comes to mind first? So first of all, you have a man and a woman equally qualified. They have everything that it takes to nail this job. They have the experience, the skills, the right education. But then you have to pick one person from, and I'm putting you on the spot right now. As an HR expert, what are the keys or pointers that you would use in picking the right candidates? Remember, they're both qualified, both educated, and have the required skills and everything. They literally tick all the boxes for you. But who would you go for, the man or the woman? And why would you pick either one of them?
Okay. Well, it depends on the focus of the organization. Say, for example, I ran a gender analysis and we realized there's a lean towards the male gender, and we begin to shift towards engaging more of the female gender. So it definitely would determine determine who I'm going to select or who's going to be selected at the long run, you understand? Because if you both have the right skill set, the same skill set or similar skill sets and competences, and the focus for the organization is to actually build the female ratio within the organization, then we would select the female gender.
Mm-hmm. What if that is not there? There's no gender imbalance.
Well, then we'll need to take an executive decision on who the right candidate would be. It's not about the bias. It's about a fit, for example. So to a large extent, if you have the similar or same competencies and skill sets, then the function managers would then decide on whom he feels best they could work with. It's quite very important because you need to have a team members that would positively integrate into the team and then have immediate impact. Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, it's been such a great show today. Thank you for joining us on today's The Office. Do you have any final words to organizations who still don't believe in promoting diversity, who don't care, they just feel I can hire anybody, nobody can tell me what to do? What message do you have for them?
I think the statistics is actually very, 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 very clear. I'll give you a number of them. Glasgow, for example, says that 67% of job seekers actually said diverse workforce is important when considering job offers. Very important. There's one from McKinsey here that says companies in the top quartile for gender diversity are 15% more likely to have financial returns above the respective national industry median, according to McKinsey. There's also another report here that says that inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be innovative leaders in their market. So the statistics is actually very clear. Diverse companies are 70% more likely to report that the firms capture a new market, according to Harvard Business School. So this is statistics that cannot be disproved. And I think that it's quite very important that we begin to understand that workforce diversity actually impacts the bottom line as well as the organization. Thank you.
Okay, well said, but this is my own personal question again. Yet I'm sorry, I'm dragging you even further. Thinking about countries, for example, Nigeria. I mean, we don't accept, or rather attract a lot of expatriates as much as we did 10, 15 years ago. But still, sometimes in other countries, you hear complaints about foreigners stealing jobs. These foreigners are coming into the country to steal our jobs. And one may think, I mean, if we're trying to promote a diverse culture, we might as well, extend to other countries with with similar skills. So, but from an HR standpoint, which is more important to take, skilled professionals, homegrown skilled professionals, or also open the window to foreign experts as well that have the right to work in Nigeria? Is that also something that is being talked about here in Nigeria?
Very true. It all depends on the organization's focus. For example, for us, recently we're going to be having a program where you could have people come into the country, Nigeria, work 2 to 3 years, from, of course, expatriate status. You can also have, it's more like an exchange program. You understand? One of my direct reports is, I've just got a job at the global office in Germany, and it's about the organization and how you want to develop your people. You understand? So to a large extent, it's not about stealing the jobs or anything. It's about creating opportunities for your workforce, for your employees. It's about building the right competencies, giving them, great employees experience. So for us, it's very critical. Once you come in, we treat our people like superstars, and part of it is, we look at their development across board, across countries, and across our functions. So that's the way it works. For me, it's about the focus of the organization. Really.
All right, well said, Joel. Great stuff. Thanks for joining us. Coming up next is Critical Thinking with Zale. Don't go anywhere. The conversation never stops. This is Lagos Talks 91.3. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeff.
By the way, quick plug. So just in case your company has a meeting or maybe an event, could be virtual, could be physical, I host events. So
okay, great. Okay. Nice. Okay.
All of you to host or moderate your events.
Don't worry, I'll fix you up with the marketing, the regional marketing managers.
Well, how can you reach me?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I would give you my number. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, great.
All right.
That's 080
080
99.
99.
Oh, sorry, 9044 1014.
9044 1014.
Yeah.
0809 044 1014.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shay.
Great.
I'll reach out. Have a nice day.
You too as well. Have a great day. Bye.